How's it going? Welcome back to another special edition of Kitchen Time, where we're piggybacking on our Spicy Time series and making food with our fresh spices and powders that we're making. This episode is the follow-on for episode number 4, which you can see up here. And it is making food with mushroom powder. So last week we made a batch of mushroom powder and it turned out pretty good. We found a really great recipe, it looks like, that we're going to try for the first time using that, and I think it's going to be quite special. Tonight we're going to be making soul-warming Hungarian cream of mushroom soup. Alright, I'm going to go over the recipe really quickly, but if I go too fast, the recipe will be listed down below in the description. Alright, we're going to start out with a fairly large pot, a soup pot or a Dutch oven. And we're going to melt 4 tablespoons of salted butter, then add in 1.5 cups of white onions and 1 pound of sliced mushrooms, and allow that to saute for 5 minutes. When that's done, we're going to add in 2 teaspoons of dried dill weed, 1 teaspoon of thyme, and 1 tablespoon of paprika. We'll stir that in and we'll continue to saute everything for another 7 to 10 minutes. About 30 seconds before we're done sauteing the mushrooms and onions, we're going to add in 2 cloves of garlic that have been grated and 1 teaspoon of our mushroom powder. It's an interesting note on the recipe. It says mushroom powder adds a ton of umami to this soup recipe and amps up the mushroom flavor. It can be difficult to find, and it can be expensive, and we know that to be true. Once we're done sauteing, we're going to slowly pour in 2.5 cups of low-sodium chicken stock, or if you want to make it vegetarian, you can add in vegetable stock, 2 tablespoons of low-sodium soy sauce, and 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice. We will then stir that and scraping the bottom of the pot to make sure we get any fond that may have stuck to the bottom. And then we will allow this to simmer for about 5 minutes. While this is simmering, we're going to take 3 tablespoons of flour and 1 cup of milk and mix it together in a bowl. Once this is simmered for about 5 minutes, we're then going to pour in the milk and flour mixture and mix it in well. We're then going to allow it to cook for another 8 to 10 minutes or until the soup thickens. Once it's thick, that's it. It's done. We're going to pull that off the heat. We're going to slowly stir in 1/3 of a cup of sour cream, cream fresh, or in our case we used Greek yogurt. Then we're going to sprinkle in 3 tablespoons of parsley, and guess what? It's done. And here's the result. I also added in some shiitake mushroom crisps as a crouton type garnish on top. Well, let's go ahead and get it to the table and see what we think. All right.
Ready?
Yep.
Ooh, beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have our Hungarian cream of mushroom soup with shiitake mushroom crisp garnishes, and we have garlic knot bread.
Ooh, this looks gorgeous. It looks super hot. Mmm. My goodness, so flavorful. Mmm, delicious.
That's probably the mushroom powder.
I think, duh. I'm going to try one of these crisps.
They crispy? Sound crispy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I made this with low sodium chicken broth, but you can also make it with low sodium vegetable broth if you want to make it purely vegan. But I'm kind of excited about it. It looks delicious. Try a little bit of the broth. Ooh, it is. Wow.
Really hearty.
You would think that the broth itself would not be very mushroomy in flavor typically, but I think with the mushroom powder in it, the broth itself is extremely mushroomy, which is exactly what you would want. You don't want chicken broth with mushrooms in it. You want cream of mushroom soup. And with all of the mushroom flavor just infused into the broth, it's just really, really, really good. I have never had a mushroom crisp before, so we're going to try one for the first time.
Almost like a little mushroom crouton.
Mm-hmm. Wow, super fascinating and good. Well, I guess that's it. I'm going to go eat.
I'd like to say one
Oh,
thing.
Victoria has a epilogue.
I know that the recipe said, we highly encourage you to have the mushroom powder if at all possible, blah, blah. 100%, I think this needs mushroom powder. I think this is making it.
So there you have it. 2 thumbs up for the mushroom powder. Hard to find, expensive if you do find it, but not so bad if you make it yourself, which we did. All right, that's it. We'll see you next week. We have a whole new spicy time
Spicy time.
episode coming up, and we think it's going to be pretty good. So we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye now.